We are back with another book review, and in this video we're gonna talk about the legendary book How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. This is one of those books, one of those timeless bestsellers. I think the book came over 80 years ago. It is fundamental, it is powerful, it is a must read no matter what you do, no matter where you are in your life. If you're interested in having better relationship, in being a better communicator, in connecting with other people, in connecting with yourself, in understand how people do what they do and why they do what they do, and how you can use influence and empower better relationship with everybody around you, it is a must read. So in this video, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give you the 5 key principles that for me came out of this book that I read many times and that I use and apply in my life every single day. Those 5 keys and principles will help you overcome social anxiety, connect with people, build better relationship, create better friends, and also help you, in your business, help you in your networking, help you in your dating life, help you in any situation where you interact with people. Because people skills, in my opinion, is one of the most valuable skills you can have, okay? Even though this day and age we communicate a lot digitally, it is so important to understand what makes people tick, what do people want, and how can we give them what they want for us to be better communicator, better listener, better human being, and to build more meaningful relationships. All right, so let's go with the first and most important principle, and that is to make people feel important. I think this key main principle is what the most of the book talks about. A lot of the strategies and tools he shares in the book fundamentally come from this one need that we all have. It's one of our core ego need, the need to feel important, to feel special, to feel, to have some form of status, to feel different, to feel heard, to feel listened, to feel loved. However you want to frame it, it is a core human need. And so what he talks a lot about in this book is a lot of strategy to help people feel important, but also for the reader to understand how this is prevalent in everything that people do, the decisions they make, who they like, who they interact with, what they buy, what they don't buy. And if you look at your life, what you buy, what you don't buy, and what you kind of engage to, it's always in order to feel a certain way. It's always in order to appear a certain way. That's why people buy very expensive clothes. That's why people buy very expensive services. That's why people show up with certain brand or, engage in certain activity or associate with certain people, simply because to look good, to feel good. We have this deep need for importance. So once we understand that people crave significance in everything that they do, we can start to realize that this is the most precious thing we can give to people. If we can make people feel genuinely important by giving them compliments, by praising them, by listening to them, by being there, by, however you do it, you can really leave a mark, an imprint. You can be remembered by people. And the quote that says, people remember how you make them feel. Well, if you can make people feel important, if you can make them feel good about themselves, they will remember you, they will do business with you, they will like you, and they will always feel attracted to you somehow. So this is one of the core key principles to always keep in the back of your mind whenever you interact with someone, even if it's your partner, or even if it's your parents, or even if it's a stranger in the street or waitress at the cafe. People crave to feel important. And by simply giving them that, leaving that feeling of increase, you can really make a massive impact in people's life. So that's for the first one. The second key principle is don't complain, don't blame, and don't criticize. Another fundamental in this book of How to Win Friends and Influence People is the need to let go of being a victim, of the gossiping, of criticizing and blaming and accusing and attacking others. Dale Carnegie says that one of the main sources of frustration, resentment, conflict in any relationship is that we are first to blame instead of understanding. We are quick to blame, we are quick to criticize, we are quick to hold on grudges to people, to make assumptions about what things means, and that alone can result in a lot of hurt, in a lot of pain, and in a lot of things that don't exist, creation of our own mind that don't exist, that create conflict in our relationship. But above all, it also creates a toxic environment. Because if you bring a lot of criticism and blame and you always attack others, how could a relationship ever grow? But also something that's very important is that we have to understand that our ego, who likes to feel special, doesn't like to feel wrong or to feel bad or to lose face. Our ego fights to be right, to avoid being wrong, to avoid appearing weak and vulnerable, because it's the opposite of feeling important. So it makes you appear defensive and brings more attack into the situation. So if you can release the blame, the criticism, and simply seek to understand, simply seek to bring some form of harmony, to bring some form of resolution, to bring something greater, a better perspective into the communication, it can dramatically affect the relationship and the communication and the situation. And so we move on to the third key principle, which is to give honest and genuine appreciation to others. This ties up to principle number 1, making people feel important. But Dale Carnegie talks a lot about appreciating others and being vocal about what you like about them, what they did right, praising them, acknowledging the success they have, the good things they did, praising them genuinely. He says that when you praise people, they grow, but also they feel good and they're more likely to remember you and to like you, and it builds better relationship. Here's the thing, in principle number 2, we notice that we are quick to judge, condemn, and point out what people do wrong. But ask yourself, how often do you genuinely praise others? How often do you genuinely praise yourself in the relationship with yourself as well? We're quick to blame, but sometimes we're slow to appreciate. And we sometimes don't want to appreciate because then we feel like people are better than us. And that's where ego comes in, okay? So if you give genuine compliment and appreciation to others, not only you build them up, you make them feel important, but they will remember you and they will value you for that. And if you want to think about how valuable this is, think of the last time when somebody gave you a meaningful compliment, and how did you feel, and how do you feel about that person? Now we move into principle number 4, which is to be interested in people. This is where active listening and asking questions comes in. You see, this is about listening carefully to what people say, being interested in the story, being interested in what they do, in what they're telling you, in what they share, in what they want to create, in what they want to accomplish, in who they are, in the talents, the skills, as the person, their life. Just paying attention, giving your presence is one of the greatest gifts you can give to people today. See, I truly believe that right here in this digital age, people are deprived of presence. Sure, we communicate, it's easier than ever to send a message, to have messages and interaction digitally. But people these days seldom listen. You talk to them face to face and they're on the phone, they're distracted, they're thinking about what to say next. They are interested in themselves. Too often we spend time into what's in for me, what am I going to say next, how can I get them to listen to me, so to speak. And we forget that people also want that. So we have to learn to listen. We have to learn to go into the story of people. We have to learn to take a genuine interest in making people feel heard. And again, this is one of the fastest and best way to make people feel important, to give them the gift of presence. And so ask yourself, do you truly listen when people talk? Are you fully engaged, or are you distracted? Are you daydreaming? Are you in another place? Can you be more present in every conversation that you have with your close ones and with people you interact with? And finally, we move to the fifth principle, which is to be fast to admit your own mistakes. Now, Dale Carnegie says that the fastest way to diffuse any conflict is to be fast to admit when you screwed up, when you made a mistake, when you were wrong, to accept your shortcomings, your flaws, and what you did, and take responsibility for your part in any given conflict, any given situation. Instead of resisting, instead of blaming, instead of trying to pretend that nothing happened, when you can own up to what you did, it's easier to go and move to a solution, to diffuse the situation. But our ego doesn't like being wrong, and so sometimes we can be stubbornly attached to what we do, to what we did, right? To be right, to appear right, to save our face, to save our feeling, to put that show on, instead of simply saying, you know what, I screwed up. You know what, I'm not perfect. You know what, I know I make mistakes. I can do better next time. How can we solve this situation? How can we resolve this? How can we move forward? By simply taking responsibility and owning up to what you did, you can diffuse a great deal of situations. And so one of the key messages again in this book is to be fast to forgive yourself and others, and slow to blame and criticize, and always try to understand and to know that nobody's perfect, everybody makes mistakes, and that if you can make mistakes, other people can make mistakes as well. And so you can cut them some slack because you know that you can also make similar mistakes. Okay? So those are the 5 key principles that for me stand out in this book, that for me truly are simple. If you think about it, a lot of it is common sense, right? It's nothing too crazy, too complicated. There's no magic formula here. It's simply making people feel important, listening to them, being present, stop blaming, judging, attacking others, admitting your own mistake, looking for a solution. All of this is a powerful and sure way of creating more meaningful interaction, more meaningful relationships. But how often do people actually behave in that way? How often do people actually apply those principles every single time, and not just when they want something out of the person? So if you live by those principles and if you apply them in your life, I guarantee you that whether you're in sales, in marketing, whether you're dating, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're raising kids, it will massively impact your relationships. I strongly invite you guys to check out that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's one of the best books you will ever read, I guarantee you. If you read this book and you want to share what you gain, what's the main insight that you gain from this book, write it down in the comments, guys. I will see you in my next video. As always, like, share, and subscribe. See you next time.